Hey, beloved St. Bart's. Hey, friends. We are on week 9 of our journey through the book of Revelation. And this week, we start into chapter 6. And we are introduced to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And whenever I hear them mentioned, I can't help but think of the song, The 4 Horsemen by the heavy metal band Metallica. And when I listen to music like that, I simply experience it. I don't analyze it. I just enjoy it and I experience it. And biblical scholar Robert Mounce says that that's how we ought to read the book of Revelation. He says, quote, "Visions are best to be experienced rather than analyzed. Those who approach Revelation with a sympathetic imagination are most apt to understand its true meaning," end quote. And what is happening here is that these images are being released, and we really do need to take them experientially and not analytically. The Apostle John, when he was recording this vision 2,000 years ago, did not expect anyone to look out the window in ancient Ephesus or ancient Laodicea and literally see 4 horsemen riding down the street. And so we do well to remember to read this experientially. Now, chapter 6 does introduce some shocking and alarming imagery like the 4 horsemen. And another biblical scholar that I greatly respect, Bishop N.T. Wright, says this about what starts in chapter 6 here. Quote, "Revelation 6 through 20 is not what we want to hear. Just as the news from the doctor may not be what we want to hear. But it is what we must hear if the world is to be healed." And he continues, "Unless the ills of the world are brought out, shown up in their true colors, put on display, and allowed to do their worst, they cannot be overthrown. Unless the 4 horsemen ride out and do what they have to do, the scroll God cannot be read," end quote. So it's alarming to hear about these 4 horsemen, war and famine, and death. But what Bishop Wright is suggesting is that all the evil of the world is being dragged out onto the front lawn to be put on full display and examined to show just how evil it is, so that it can be dealt with once and for all. That's what the 4 horsemen are about, and what the things that we will begin to see unfold starting here in chapter 6, what they are about. Bishop Wright continues saying this, "The soul of the world is aware of immediate problems and pains, but unless we look deeper to the ancient patterns of conquest, violence, oppression, and death itself, we shall not begin to understand what needs to be done if the world is to be healed, really healed, rather than merely patched together for a few more years," end quote. So that's what the 4 horsemen are about here. It's about all the human evil being dragged out on the lawn, being exposed for what it truly is by God, so that it can be dealt with once and for all, finally, and the world can be healed, really healed. And what the 4 horsemen being released is the kickoff to is God's perfect plan to heal the world, which is symbolized in the next 14 chapters by the 7 seals on God's scroll, starting here in chapter 6. Then the 7 trumpets that we'll hear more about, and the 7 bowls that we'll hear more about. So what's the deal with 7 and what's the deal with 3? Well, in the Bible, the number 7 indicates divine design. For example, God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. It was God's divine design. And we've got the 7 seals on the scroll, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls. God's plan to deal with evil once and for all and heal the world is divinely designed. It may not look like it, but stick with God through the book of Revelation. It's divinely designed. And why does this happen 3 times? 7 trumpets, 7 seals, 7 bowls, Well, the number 3 in the Bible indicates the ultimate or perfection. For example, when we heard about the 4 living creatures worshiping God back in chapter 4, they don't say God is holy. They say God is holy, holy, holy. God is the ultimate holy one. Perfect. So what does that mean about these 3 patterns of 7 that we're going to continue reading about in the next 14 chapters? Well, what it says is that God's plan to deal with evil once and for all is divinely designed, and it's perfect, and it will deal with human evil and heal the world completely and once and for all. Even some of the most alarming parts of the book of Revelation are about the healing of the world. That is the trajectory of this beautiful vision from John. So even when it gets confusing, remember, experience it. Don't analyze it. Read it with your imagination, friends, that you can truly understand it, because you can. This book is for you to know that God wants to heal the world for you once and for all.